Shalom. I want to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakodash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rokalia from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with an in-transit lesson. Satan wants your mind, so keep it occupied on the truth. All right, Satan wants your mind, so keep it occupied on Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. All right, now excuse the voice, I'm just coming over the head cold. But nevertheless, the inspiration for tonight's lesson comes from a conversation I was having at the job with this guy. And he was explaining how he's finding it harder to fall asleep and to bond with his family because his mind is constantly going. He can't shut his brain off because his mind is constantly occupied on work. And he's finding it harder and harder to transition from work to home. And spiritually speaking, for us to the hopefully elect, that's exactly what Satan wants. That's exactly what Satan wants. Satan wants our minds occupied in the affairs of this life so that we're unable to spiritually grow. Because one way to stunt spiritual growth is by saturating yourself in carnality. All right, and with the different cares of this life, it's easy to be overcame with this flesh. It's easy to be overcame with the affairs of this life if you're not occupying your mind in this truth. And Satan knows that one of the biggest tools, one of the most powerful tools that we possess, as Israelites, chiefly the hopefully elect, the elect Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians. One of our most powerful tools that we possess is our minds. So one way that the devil, saw fit to cripple us, one of the many ways, is by keeping our minds occupied on the affairs of this life, the job, the family, the keeping up with the Joneses, progressing within the societal ranks, bettering your situation economically, socially, going out to parties, going out and having a social life, and this, that, and the third. This is one of the many ways that Satan saw fit, to cripple us, to cripple our minds and to keep our minds occupied on carnal things so that we're unable to spiritually connect with our power. And you see it all the time, especially within, the people of this world, how overwhelmed and how drowned they are with the affairs of this life, to the point where they become shells of their selves, essentially. And one thing that we don't want to do is saturate ourselves or find ourselves constantly occupied in the affairs of this life. Because one thing that the scriptures say is that, this world is getting ready to pass away, pursuant to the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, around the 10th verse. This world is getting ready to pass away, and all the things that dwell therein. All the money, the fancy trinkets, the societal norms, the ranking, the societal ranking, all this is getting ready to pass away. And one thing that the Lord has made us privy to is the world that's being established. The new world that's being established, spearheaded by Yahweh Shai in the throne of the throne of David. And we are putting our stake in that world. The Lord has allowed us and given us the opportunity to put our stake in the world to come. To sow our seed for the world to come. And how do we do that? By occupying ourselves in the truth, by occupying ourselves in Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. Don't let Satan occupy your mind. We have our different moments of folly, where we you're thinking about some bullshit, or you're occupied in some bullshit for a couple of hours, music, game, TV, whatever it is, whatever you do, we all have our moments, man. But nevertheless, Satan shouldn't be occupying our minds the majority of the time. This world shouldn't be occupying our minds the majority of this time. I say damn near 90-10 or 80-20. Our minds should be occupied on this truth. You feel what I'm saying? But just want to get on here and do this intro while I'm in transit. I'm going to grab a couple of precepts once I put it in part. Lord willing, this is edifying unto your elect. Satan wants your mind, so stay occupied in the truth. Don't get overwhelmed with the affairs of this life. One thing you got to understand is that all this is getting ready to pass away. And that's not saying to neglect your duties in this life. All that's saying is that's to prioritize, what's important, mentally, spiritually, what's important, especially in the times that we're living in. But let's get into it. Let's get this here in Luke chapter 19 and verse 13. Because the Lord gave us a charge. All right, he says, and he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come. All right, and what we're supposed to be occupying ourselves in until the Lord makes his return is his word. All right, the truth. All right, this is Joshua 1 and verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. All right, so we're supposed to be occupying ourselves in this book. All right, we're supposed to be occupying ourselves in this book, because in this book, all right, contrary to popular belief and unbeknownst to this world, contains life. It contains the faith of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. It contains wisdom, knowledge, understanding. It contains dark sayings. It contains prophecy. It contains a vision of the future. It contains answers for the future. It contains the will of the Lord. It contains, the pleasures of the Lord. So we're supposed to be occupying ourselves in this truth. All right. It says, once again, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. And once we begin to meditate and keep our hearts and our minds upon the ordinances of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and the ways of truth, our ways begin to become prosperous. We're not talking about necessarily, worldly prosperity. All right, but rather the prosperity that truly matters, which is mental, spiritual, and, emotional prosperity. All right, mental growth, spiritual growth. It all happens once we start to give our minds over and occupy ourselves in this truth. Let's get this. In Sirach, or Ecclesiastes 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out all the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. All right, and the chapter before this goes into those who have their minds occupied in this world, and how at the end of the day, at the end all be all, those aren't going to be the ones who are sought for in public counsel, in the world to come. They're necessary to maintain the city, but they're not going to be sought for when it comes to matters of judgment, when it comes to public counsel. For us to hopefully elect, especially those of us who have been called to be, prophets, we're seeking, to be at Yahushai's table. Whether we be number 144,000, 139,999, we seeking to be at Yahushai's table, man. Listening to the counsel, being a part of, the orders that are being given. We're seeking to sit, amongst the kings, Lord willing, we're the elect. So in order to do that, it says, In verse 2, he will keep his sayings. The sayings of renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart early to resort to the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer, and make supplication for his sins. When the great Lord will, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding, and he shall pour out wise sentences, and give thanks unto the Lord and into his prayer. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and his secrets shall he meditate. He shall shew forth that which he hath learned, and shall glory in the law and the covenant of the Lord. Many shall commend his understanding, and so long as the world endureth, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. All right, and this is to those, who occupy themselves in the way of truth. Don't get entangled with the affairs of this life. I'm going to close it out with this in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4. It says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. All right. And when seeing that we're in the midst of a spiritual, mental, and transitioning into a physical warfare, all right, we can't be entangled with the affairs of this life. All right, our occupation has to be in this truth. Don't get swallowed up in the affairs of this life. Don't get carried away with the affairs of this life. All right. Keep that transition. We have a time to work, in this world. We have a time to handle our business in this world. And we have a time to handle the Lord's business. In our mind, even when we at, our worldly job, our mind should still be occupied on the work of the Lord. That being said, shalom, stay up.